My name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a review to the 10th episode of The Apprentice. Now at the beginning of the episode we found out that the final 6 contestants were going to be going to Battersea Dogs and Cats Home, with Megan shouting dogs, Marnie saying she wouldn't be happy if the task didn't include dogs or cats, and Simba saying, alright boys, where are we going? As kind of a joke because he was the last boy left. Danny said people obviously spend more money on dogs, and yeah, Lord Sugar then introduced the task. So he said nearly 3 million animals are placed into homes, and for this task they needed to create a new dog food, a brand, packaging, and a special dish. So for Team Infinity, obviously it was only Rochelle and Marnie left because there was a double firing last week, so Victoria actually moved on to their team. So yeah, so Team Infinity was Rochelle, Marnie, Victoria, and then for Team Apex we had Simba, Danny and Megan. Rochelle said obviously the biggest decision was for them to decide who was going to be the project manager. Victoria said that she has a dog and she also has a food business, with Marnie saying that she already has the idea, with the dog being the kind of lead of the product. Megan said that she's also got a husky at home, she's got experience of buying dog food and obviously cooking, and she said that she wanted to go down the healthy route of insects, telling Danny and Simba not to get lost in the insect aspect, but to focus on the kind of good food, healthy and sustainable side of food. And Victoria told her team they were going to be going also down the healthy and exotic route, with insects being something that is usually not seen. Rochelle suggested that she wanted to go for a gourmet-based food with no idea on how to use insects, but she would try and do it to the best of her ability, and also she was kind of the chef. Victoria said that Rochelle would go in the kitchen and then Marnie would go with her on the branding team, and for Megan's team she would go into the kitchen and she sent Danny and Simba to do the branding for their team. Simba said that he had a proper vision for the idea, and Megan basically said, no offence Simba, but I want Danny as the sub-team leader. So although he had an idea, Megan didn't feel comfortable with him leading that sub-team. She also went to say that being the project manager on the last task is quite a ballsy move. Simba explained that he's a little bit confused, with Danny saying that Megan had said to make it healthy, but don't make it healthy, to include insects, but don't tell anyone about insects. So a little bit of mixed messaging there. I kind of understood that, yeah, you want to involve the fact that you've got insects in your food, but don't sell it as an insect gourmet meal or an insect dish. It's a kind of, it's got insects in it for X, Y and Z reasons, but you want to advertise it as a healthy food. Rochelle in the kitchen decided to add some mince to her food, so she had minted lamb, kidney, livers and steak. She also decided to add some cranberries and to also have like a savoury element. She was going to be creating some sort of tagine, and she said that she wanted to be careful with the fragrance and have onion-free gravy, saying that any dog would be lucky to have that. Tim basically said that gourmet food usually has more than 20% of meat, and I think she just about put 20% of meat, or she put like 18, so whatever she did wasn't enough. Megan said that she was going to create a dog's dinner, kind of the epitome of a Sunday roast. She didn't want to have too many different ingredients, so she said she wanted to have things like gravy, broccoli, and overall have 5 components to make a nice easy recipe, with Karen saying that she actually used less of the insects than she was instructed to on the main item. And then we went over to Danny and Simba, and that she basically said to him, let's think of a name, and Simba said something like Coffee's Kitchen, Bailey's Bowl, with Danny questioning, do dogs actually have a kitchen? She said something like protein poor, sounded quite naturally nutritious. And then obviously on the other team, Victoria said Mr. Woofs, potentially tag of the day. And Marnie said it kind of sounds quite low end. Marnie said maybe you should use the name Chef, and that can obviously show that the dog has created the food, maybe something like Chef Barking. So I think that was kind of the name that they were debating about whether to use. I think Marnie liked the name Chef, but they couldn't find the surname bit. And then when she said Chef Barking, Victoria wasn't really on par with that name. With Danny and Simba, they were obviously arguing over the paw, whether the paw should have a circle, whether the paw shouldn't, and obviously Danny adding a white dog to the photo as well. Simba basically said, why don't you just write the name paw properly rather than kind of fiddling around with some of the elements. With Marnie and Victoria, Marnie said that the dog should be the lead of the product. Purple usually means premium, and Victoria said that they should have a white bone across the words chef barking, saying that it was designed by dogs and approved by you. And Tim said that it kind of looked a little bit childlike. Danny took a lead on the branding with kind of the logos, and she decided to add things such as a globe, worms and a dog paw, kind of in a circle to signify that those are the most important things, that it's for dogs, it has insects, and obviously it can be used around the world. With Megan, she was obviously in the kitchen creating her 400 gram sample, and she obviously times her ingredients by 4 but didn't manage to actually times it by 4. She explained that she didn't actually have enough mealworms, and she kind of added the numbers up completely wrong. And she said, I'm going to do it for the dogs. So hopefully she managed to turn that around. Simba said to Danny whether he could lead and whether she could support him. And she basically ended up taking control of this task, maybe because either he wasn't suggesting anything or he was just letting her be stressed so that he could go, oh, well, I couldn't get a word in because she was talking too much. So yeah, it was kind of, he wanted to lead, but he didn't actually. And then I think Danny kind of just took the lead and said, let's get a zoomed in photo of the dog holding onto the weights. Potentially suggesting an orange wall rather than in the gym where they were. And Karen said it seemed like both Simba and Danny wanted to take control, and they just needed to take a photograph and focus on what was on the photo. Victoria said to Marnie that she wanted to add the words "what's cooking" with a question mark, with Marnie saying it didn't seem to be playful enough with the brand name Chef Barking. They needed to have something eye-catchy and something playful. Victoria said that they could add other elements and they could come back to that because they knew they were going to have a disagreement about that. And Danny said that they were glad they made the background on the orange background because it looks a lot better than just in the gym, because there was obviously a lot of distractions. Megan asked Simba and Danny to show her the packaging and to talk her through the design. And Danny said obviously the item she had made sure said protein packed. They obviously said that the two of them were quite confused with the brief, with Megan saying that they kind of overcomplicated it and it doesn't seem like a standout item, and it's also not a protein item, so there was kind of false advertising there. Rochelle said that she loved the branding that both Victoria and Marnie created, but the poster wasn't eye-catching. Victoria then said that the tagline was created by her, and they did lose a lot of time because obviously they were kind of arguing over what they should use, and Rochelle said that the poster did seem a little bit unfinished. Simba then questioned Megan's attempt of making dog food, saying, is it supposed to be wet? With Danny saying that she didn't expect it to have 3 lots of potato or majority potato, and Simba said that there seemed to be a lot more gravy than there were mealworms. With Rochelle, she obviously told Marnie and Victoria to try her meal. She said, try it, you'll like it. It's got 20% of meat, which is obviously the minimum for a dog's diet. And Marnie said that with gourmet, you would usually expect more meat. And if you have an explanation, then you can obviously explain it. Victoria said that she's going to pitch with Marnie, and Rochelle's going to be on the customer research team. And Megan said that she's not sure how the packaging will go down with the clients, with Simba saying that he was disappointed in the design. And it was Simba and Danny who were doing the pitch. So up first were Victoria and Marnie doing their pitch to Waitrose. Marnie said that the dog had obviously created the recipe, and one of the people on the panel said, should we actually believe the dogs have created the brand? And obviously I think their comeback was kind of like, no, it's a play on words, because usually you say like, I don't know, approved by mums, loved by kids, or like eaten by dogs and approved by their dad or something like that. So it's kind of like a play on words, but the dog has made it and the parents gone, okay, cool. And then obviously 80 grams of product in the food is actually not enough, and it's therefore not gourmet. And Victoria said that the 20% was the minimum that they needed for meat. And they could have obviously added more as well. Tim said that it seemed like Marnie and Victoria were not agreeing with any of the feedback, and they were kind of just saying that there was a lot of nitpicking and things like that. And Victoria said that there was nothing to change about their products going forward. Danny and Simba then did their speech, and Danny said that the insects are obviously quite high in protein, low in fat. And then they obviously asked why there was an image of a worm on their item, with Danny saying that the worms are there for the protein. One of the people on the panel said that if it's protein packed, why is it half potato and gravy, which is almost the equivalent of having chips and mash, adding that it's not a puree and there's no texture to it. Danny said that they wanted to focus more on the insects part, with Megan saying that she obviously didn't want them to focus too much on the insects. And when Megan did her research with the dogs, she asked one of the dogs if they wanted some Pro-Pour. One of the parents said that obviously the food looked more like gravy, and it kind of just looked like sweet potato based on the packaging. And then with Rochelle, one of the dogs did eat their dog's food, with her going, good girl, you'll like it. And then she basically said, who would think that this is premium branding? And nobody put their hands up. One of the girls said that she didn't like the puns, that doesn't usually represent gourmet. The tagline would probably be better the other way around, and the main ingredient you would expect to be some form of meat, i.e. lamb. Marnie said to Rochelle that they should have had more meat. Megan said that it didn't go well with either the humans or the dogs. Danny questioned to Megan why it was majority potato, with Simba saying for them to not highlight the mealworm aspect was kind of what led them to not be able to actually answer any questions about the item at all. Then they actually, both teams did a speech for pets at home. So up first it was Marnie, and she said that they wanted to go for a more dog-sensitive approach, with dogs being at the centre of the item. One of the panel said that Chef Barking doesn't say gourmet, the ingredients don't say premium, and Marnie explained that they wanted to focus on the element of balance and obviously having a healthy option. So it was pretty much Marnie answering all the questions here, the difficult questions. But yeah, so she was, I think what they wanted to do was focus on the balance element, focus on the health element. So kind of having vegetables and meat was where they were aiming for. And obviously I think Rochelle might have misheard, because I think she heard it as 20% is the dog's diet, but it's a minimum of 20%. With Danny and her team, she said that the insects are obviously the main base, and they wanted to go for something a little bit different. One of the people on the panel said that it was quite mushy, with Megan saying that they can alter the recipe to obviously help both the consumer and the brand. Simba said that it's got mealworms, so it's kind of like you're having a normal family meal, but with worms instead. Marnie said that she wasn't sure what more her team could have done. Rochelle said that Marnie was quite defensive, quite off-putting, and Simba said that if they were to lose the task, Megan would be responsible because there was no clear vision with the recipe. And Lord Sugar said in the boardroom that marketing is all about the art of getting people to buy. So firstly, he was speaking to Team Infinity, and Victoria said that Rochelle was naturally chosen as the chef because she cooks in the house for everyone. And Rochelle said that she wanted to use her gourmet side, and she wanted to have the product with meat, only needing 20% of meat. Marnie said that she put forward the idea of the dog being the chef. She said she also put the name chef forward, as well as the dog being the centre of the brand, with Lord Sugar saying that the dog actually just seemed a little bit confused in their picture. Victoria said that there was a lot of pushbacks from Marnie on the slogan, what's cooking, with Marnie saying she probably equally had just as good of an idea as a vision. It's just that, yeah, I think it was kind of more about balance. So should have just balanced it in terms of their ideas. So half of Victoria's ideas and half of Marnie's ideas. Victoria basically said that if it wasn't Marnie's idea, she wouldn't want to go along with it. And Marnie said that some of the people on the panel were nitpicking, especially talking about the tagline that it should have been the other way around when they were just trying to have a kind of funny advertisement. Megan said that her item was supposed to be healthy, sustainable, and obviously the insects were as a replacement for meat. And with Danny saying that her and Simba were just very confused. Megan explained that she did ask 3 times if everyone understood everything and if everything was clear, and she said that the task was a lot harder than she thought it would be. She also said the item was a lot sloppier than she thought it would be. And Danny said that she wasn't 100% with the packaging, but she did try and come up with different logos. And Lord Sugar said that Simba was allowed to lead on the poster task, but that Danny jumped in. And Danny said that Simba's not a wallflower. He could have spoken up and had a voice. He said that he had a vision, but there was nothing said. So I think this is when they were doing the adverts with the dogs. I feel like she just naturally had to take a lead because he just wasn't talking. And then his comeback was that he wasn't allowed to speak. But then again, when there was kind of a break, he didn't kind of jump in and give his ideas. He just kind of let Danny take control. Simba said that the two of them spent more time turning the paw into kind of an O-looking shape. And Megan said she now understands why the packaging wasn't completed, because obviously even in the boardroom, Simba and Danny were still arguing amongst themselves. So the large pet order for Team Infinity, they got 0 orders. And then the large order for Team Apex, they loved the concept, they loved the passion, and the actual item itself wasn't executed. So again, they also got 0 orders. For Team Infinity with the retailer, they wanted to do a test, so they decided to get 1,000 test units. And then again, with Team Apex, another 0 orders. So it was Team Infinity that won that challenge. So Victoria, Marnie and Rochelle, and they were able to go on a helicopter to take them to Windsor. Marnie said, now it's my chance to get rid of my competition. So obviously they were in a helicopter, so she kind of just could have pushed Victoria and Rochelle out either side. And Rochelle explained that she's so happy, with Victoria saying that she was excited to get to the final 5 and that she's ready to become Lord Sugar's business partner. Simba said that the vision wasn't clear from Megan, and Megan said that she didn't want them to make the pitch based on the insects, and she said she was also devastated when she saw the packaging. Danny said there was too much to include in the packaging, and Simba said that him and Danny were also not working well together, with Danny saying that she basically carried their team. In the boardroom, Lord Sugar said it was a 50% problem on both sides. with bad food and obviously bad presenting. Simba said he obviously tried to hide the insect element with the product, with Megan saying, I didn't tell you to say that. She was happy to include the insects, but not to make it as a priority with the product. And this is when Karen said to Megan that the buyers said that they should have embraced it and they should have been shouting about it from the rooftops, not kind of just trying to whisper the word insects and hope people didn't hear it. And Danny said that in their meeting, the message that they were given was quite mixed. She said it was nothing to do with the insects, and they wanted to focus on using the word protein. And Simba said that when they were doing the branding, they actually ran out of time, with Danny saying that the packaging was not working because of the different arguments, and Simba saying they were eating into their time by doing other things. Danny said that Simba didn't actually offer any solutions. He was a little bit tactical by kind of just staying quiet and obviously therefore wanting to put the blame onto her. So about the 3 candidates, Lord Sugar said that Megan picked a bold ingredient, but obviously gave her team quite a confusing message. Danny was on the branding team and the marketing team, and although she's supposedly got experience in those fields, it wasn't great. And Simba said that he complained that Danny never listened, but obviously if people are not going to listen to him, is he then the problem? Megan said that she seemed like that the whole mixed messaging situation is a bit bizarre, saying that she didn't want everything to just be based on the insects and that she still wanted the item to be fashionable. Simba said that people ignore him, and obviously what he say usually adds value, and it is quite valuable, suggesting that he actually added other names that they could have gone for at the beginning. Lord Sugar said to Danny, the brand is kind of what she usually does, and she said that she's proved that she is the right person for investment, with Lord Sugar saying for her to tell him facts. He said that when Megan had her win of the Bao Buns project manager, she was kind of selling the Bao Buns blue in the face. She contributed to both Simba and Megan's wins. Danny said that they've all made mistakes and they've all put in effort and energy, but it was Simba the one that wasn't contributing. Megan said she's never actually been in the boardroom or in the bottom 3. Simba said that the only time he's been in the boardroom was when he was blamed for something that he didn't do. And then in the end, Lord Sugar did a quick summary for all 3 of them, saying that if Simba has nothing worth listening to, is that a problem within itself? Megan's item was total garbage, the product was inedible. And for Danny, she talks 100 miles an hour and she's supposedly great at marketing, but he hasn't seen that from her as of yet. Lord Sugar then went on to say that every dog has its day, and that Simba, it was not your day, and therefore Simba was fired. When Danny and Megan walked out, Danny looked over to Megan and whispered, I thought I was a goner. And Simba said that he enjoyed the process and he's wishing all 5 of the girls in the final the best of luck. Marnie said that obviously either all the girls are going to come back or they're going to be 4 girls and Simba in the final, with Megan saying, I feel so nailed after that, and Victoria did a cheers to the girls. So that was it. We found out that after the 10th episode of The Apprentice, we had 5 girls in the final. We had the winning team, Victoria, Rochelle, Marnie, and then we had Megan and Danny, who luckily managed to get out of that difficult task there. So if you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment, chat and subscribe. We have 2 episodes left, so we have 3 more people we need to get fired. And in the final episode, we have our 2 teams going against each other for the battle of the investment. So yeah, until my next review, thank you for watching, and I'll be back very, very soon. And until then, thank you and goodbye.